Some nights feel wrong. You don't know why, but you can feel it. Like something is watching, waiting, lurking just beyond your sight. That night, I had that feeling. I just didn't know. It was already inside my room. It was past midnight. My room was silent, except for the occasional sound of cars outside. I was lying in bed, half awake, when I felt it. I woke up to the feeling of breath on my face. My body froze. My mind barely registered what was happening before instinct kicked in. I flinched back, nearly falling off my bed. The room was dark, but in the dim glow from my phone screen, I saw it. A figure, tall, still, standing at the foot of my bed. I reached for my phone with trembling fingers, my breath coming in short gasps. My heart pounded so loud I could barely think. I turned on the flashlight. Nothing. The room was empty. But my door, it was wide open. I lived alone. And then, a Snapchat notification. I swallowed hard and looked down at my screen. A new snap from an unknown user. I hesitated, dread sinking into my stomach. Then slowly, I opened it. It was a picture of me, asleep in my bed, taken minutes ago. I swear I heard something. A whisper, a chuckle, right behind me. But when I turned around, there was nothing there. I don't know how it started. Maybe I was being watched for longer than I knew. Maybe I'd let something in without realizing it. All I know is that a few weeks before this night, things had started feeling wrong. I was about to start university, staying in a small apartment near campus. The kind of place that felt safe. Until it didn't. It began with small things. At first, I noticed my Snapchat glitching, messages appearing and disappearing. Then, a friend request from a name I didn't recognize. Not gone yet. I ignored it. Thought it was a bot. But then, the snaps started. At first, normal things. A picture of my street. A blurry sidewalk. Then, one day, I got one while waiting for my bus. A picture of me, standing at the bus stop, taken from behind. I whipped around. My heart slammed against my ribs. The street was full of people, but no one had their phone out. No one was watching me. At least, no one I could see. It got worse. One night, I left the university library late. The streets were nearly empty, just the hum of streetlights and the distant sound of traffic. Then I heard it. Footsteps. At first, they were distant, blending with the night sounds. But the longer I walked, the closer they got. I sped up. So did the footsteps. I stopped. Silence. I turned around. No one. Just the long, empty street, stretching under flickering lights. I swallowed hard and kept walking, but my pulse hammered in my ears. Then, a Snapchat notification. I pulled out my phone, fingers shaking. A picture of me, taken right now, from directly behind me. I spun around, and I saw it, a shadow. Not standing under the streetlights, no, it was just beyond them. Tall, motionless, watching. Then it moved, and it started walking toward me. That night, I locked everything, my doors, my windows. I barely slept. The next morning, I found a note, sitting on my pillow. I live alone. I unfolded it with stiff fingers. Blocking me won't help. My hands shook as I checked my phone. No friend requests. No chat history. And yet, someone had been inside. I went to the police. They searched my apartment but found nothing. They said it was probably a prank. Maybe someone had a spare key. They changed my locks, told me to be careful. But it wasn't over. A few nights later, I heard it again. A soft scraping, coming from the living room. My stomach dropped. My body locked up. I turned on my flashlight, forcing myself to get up. The moment my feet hit the floor, the noise stopped. I swallowed hard, stepping out. Everything looked normal, except for the door. The front door was unlocked. I know I locked it. And on the floor, right in front of the door, a knife. A long, serrated hunting knife, placed carefully, like a gift. The capture, or not. The police took it as evidence. They increased patrols around my apartment. A few days later, they called me. They caught someone, a man lurking outside my building. He had my class schedule, a rough sketch of my apartment layout, even a list of the times I was usually home. But when they showed me his face, I went cold. Because it wasn't him. It was him. Same height, same build, but his face, it looked wrong. Like a Snapchat filter had been placed over his real one. Like something else had been wearing him. They told me it was over, that I was safe. I wanted to believe them. But last night, I got a new snap. A picture of my bed, taken from inside my apartment. And in the corner of the image, a shadowy figure, standing right behind me. Some nights carry a suffocating stillness, like the air itself is watching. You don't know why, but you can feel it. A presence just beyond sight, lurking in the dark, waiting for you to notice. That's how she described it to me. She wasn't paranoid. She wasn't the kind of girl to imagine things or freak out over nothing. But that night, she knew. And she was right. Her name was Emily. She was my closest friend. The kind of friend who always laughed at scary movies but screamed over tiny spiders. We talked every day, shared everything, and she never believed in ghosts or the paranormal. But after that night, she wasn't the same. She stopped texting me late at night. She barely went online. And when I finally saw her in person, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. And when she finally told me what happened, I felt sick. It began with a joke, a harmless, stupid joke. She was at home, lying in bed, scrolling through Snapchat, bored out of her mind. And then, just for fun, she opened Snap Maps. Most of her friends were home, some were out. Nothing weird. But then, she saw it. A Bitmoji, standing right outside her house. She blinked, zoomed in. It was featureless, no name, no details. Just a dark, empty Bitmoji, just standing there. She frowned. At first, she thought Snapchat glitched. Maybe it was showing her own location wrong. But then, it moved. Slowly. Closer. That's when her stomach dropped. She sat up in bed, heart pounding. She texted me. Emily, check Snap Maps. Do you see someone near my house? I checked, and I swore I didn't see anything. Then she checked again. The Bitmoji was at her driveway. And then, a new Snap notification. She hesitated, opened it. It was a photo of her house, taken from the street. Her hands went cold. Then, another message. Look, outside. She didn't want to, but her body moved on its own. She crept to the window, kept the lights off, peered through the blinds. And then, she saw him, a man, standing perfectly still under the street lamp, motionless, phone raised, pointed directly at her window. She stumbled back, her breath caught in her throat. Then, her phone buzzed. Another snap. She opened it with shaking hands. A photo of her bedroom window, taken from outside. She turned off her phone, tried to breathe. Maybe someone was messing with her. A prank. A friend. Then, another snap. This time, a video. She hit play. At first it was dark. No movement. No sound. Then, a hand. Reaching into the frame, pressing against her bedroom window, from outside. Emily choked back a scream. Then, her phone buzzed again. A text. Come outside. She threw her phone away, ran to her door, locked it. Her breathing was ragged. She had to call someone, had to hide. She grabbed her phone again, fingers barely working, opened Snap Maps. And her stomach dropped. The Bitmoji was inside her house. She turned so fast she almost fell. Listened, straining to hear anything. Then, a soft creak. From the hallway. She wasn't alone. Her phone pinged. Not from her. From downstairs. She ran. Didn't think. Just ran. Bolted down the stairs, through the kitchen, into the garage. Her hands shook as she fumbled with the lock. Then, another snap. She shouldn't open it, but she did. It was a photo of her bedroom door, taken from the hallway. Her breath hitched, her vision blurred. She slammed the car door shut, locked it, started the engine. As she backed out of the driveway, her phone buzzed one last time. A final snap. She opened it with trembling hands. It was a selfie. A dark, blurry face, smiling, with a caption. "See you soon. Ha ha." There are some people out there who use social media for all the wrong reasons. They watch, they wait, and sometimes they get too close. If you ever see something strange on Snap Maps, if you ever get a friend request from someone you don't know, just remember, you might not be the one watching. I don't use Snap Maps anymore, not after that night. Some nights, the air just feels off. You can't explain why, but deep down, you sense something wrong, like an invisible weight pressing against your chest, a whisper just out of earshot. You tell yourself it's nothing, just your imagination. I told myself the same thing that night, and I couldn't have been more wrong. It was a Thursday night, just past 1 a.m. I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone, my room dimly lit by the glow of the screen. It was one of those nights where you don't feel tired, but your body is heavy, lazy, stuck in that strange place between sleep and wakefulness. The air outside was cold, and a soft wind rattled the window beside me. Everything was quiet. I was a college student, living alone in a small apartment just outside the city. It wasn't much, but it was mine. The neighborhood was peaceful. Nothing weird ever really happened. I had a few close friends, but one person I always talked to was Jake. He had been my best friend since high school. We always sent each other the dumbest snaps. Stupid faces, random, late-night thoughts, just pointless stuff to pass the time. That night, I was flipping through Snapchat stories, watching people post about their nights out. Their food, their pets. Boring. Then, out of habit, I opened Snap Maps. Most of my friends were home. A few were still out at bars. Nothing unusual. But then, I saw something that made my stomach drop. There was a Bitmoji standing outside my house. I blinked. At first, I thought maybe Snapchat was glitching. Maybe the app messed up my location. But when I zoomed in, my chest tightened. The Bitmoji had no name, no details, just a black, featureless figure standing directly outside my apartment. I sat up in bed, my heart starting to beat faster. Then, my phone buzzed. A Snapchat notification. It was a message from an unknown user. I hesitated before opening it. It was a photo. A blurry, dark image. At first, I couldn't tell what I was looking at. But as my eyes adjusted, my stomach turned to ice. It was my street. taken from outside my apartment. Before I could even react, another message came through. A video. I hit play with shaking hands. The screen was dark. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, there was a faint sound. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Getting closer. Then, a whisper. "I see you." I dropped my phone. My ears were ringing. My breath hitched. This had to be a joke. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Then, I heard it. A soft creak from the hallway. I sat completely still, my heart hammering. My bedroom door was slightly open, leaving a sliver of darkness beyond it. I stared, waiting, listening. The air felt heavy, like something unseen was pressing down on me. I reached for my phone and slowly turned on the flashlight, aiming it toward the hallway. The beam of light flickered against the walls, empty, silent. But something still felt wrong. Then, another snap notification. I swallowed hard and opened it. It was a photo of my bedroom door, taken from inside the hallway. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I wanted to tell myself it was a prank, but who could be inside my apartment? The door was locked. The windows were shut. Then, I heard it. A slow, deliberate tap, 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 coming from inside my closet. I felt dizzy. My body refused to move, my mind screaming at me to run, but I couldn't. My phone buzzed again. Another snap. I didn't want to open it, but I did. It was a photo of me, taken from inside my closet. That was it. I snapped out of my frozen state and ran. Didn't think. Didn't breathe. Just bolted. I threw open my bedroom door and sprinted down the hallway. My ears were ringing, my pulse so loud I could barely hear my own footsteps. I reached the front door and fumbled with the lock. Then, from directly behind me, I heard it. Soft, slow footsteps. I didn't dare turn around. I yanked the door open and stumbled into the night. The cold air hit my skin like a slap. The street was empty. No cars, no people. Just the distant hum of the city in the background. I turned back toward my apartment, expecting to see someone standing in the doorway. But there was nothing. Just darkness. The cops arrived minutes later. They searched my entire apartment. They found nothing. No forced entry, no signs of anyone else being there. And yet, on my bed, there was a single piece of paper. It had a hand-drawn Snapchat ghost logo, with 2 words written underneath. "See you." I moved out that weekend. I never used Snap Maps again, and I never, ever sleep with my closet door open.